Welcome back, everyone. It's time for episode 32 of the Horns Up Podcast, your weekly catch-up on all things metal. I am your host, Dan Kaplan, coming to you as always from New York. With me from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, fresh off a nice little astral dialogue with our co-host emeritus, my good friend Corey Butterworth. Corey, what are you up to? How's it going?
I'm tired. I am very tired.
Long day in Beantown, huh?
Followed by a long day in Portsmouth, followed by a long night out in Portsmouth. So yeah, really like 2 full days on approximately 6 hours of sleep, over the last 48 hours or so. So it's been a crazy stretch, but it's all good. Yeah, so
hanging in there. Live to tell the tale.
Always. I don't know, whatever. I'm drinking flat beer, which is kind of upsetting, but whatever.
I just opened up a nice little Blue Moon, which is neither nice nor little, but is the nicest. Believe it or not, somehow the nicest of the beers that we have in our fridge. Should I tell you about this?
No.
So we had our housewarming party a couple weeks ago, and like idiots, we
buy nice
did
beer.
not expect people to be bringing their own beer. We're just like, we got to stock this. Like, let's get couple 30s, like 2 or 3 30s worth, blah, 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 blah. We end up with, I think, like 100 beers.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
give or take in the fridge. And so we're there, and everyone, like literally everyone, and we had like 30 people, everyone brought their own stuff. So
that never happens.
The only beers we used were like for Pong,
of course.
And so now, as a result, like it's going on 3 weeks now. We've got, I believe we've whittled it down to about 35 beers left in our fridge, which are, get this, Coors Light, Bud Light, Bud Heavy.
Jesus.
And we have like we're working our way through a 6 of Blue Moon that someone just brought for us. When Blue Moon is the best beer in your fridge, you've got problems.
I mean, the thing is, like, I always feel like, and I don't know, I mean, you've seen our setup. We have, like 2 fridges. We have a fridge for a fridge, and then we have a kegerator, which we just store beer in.
Right.
And the thing is, we always have at least like a box of 12 just shit beer cans there, because when we do have people over, which is, on the frequent, people are always stopping by on weekends and shit like that, they're not going to touch our, Smutty Nose Bounty House or our old Brown Dogs or anything of quality. We're going to offer them the shit-tastic stuff that's sitting there, but we're still offering them something. So it's cool. It's cool. But
there you go.
You always need to have a little bit of shitty beer, but that's the leftovers of a party, though. That's what that's going to do for you.
Yeah, well,
exactly what that is.
We are going to be having a screening party of The Room this weekend at my place, so I expect we'll be disposing of the remainders once that gets here.
You'll need to. I drunkenly watched that a couple weekends ago. It's fucking awful.
Awful or awesome?
Well,
both.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, anyway, before we get started, want to have a quick note. Obviously, I promised you guys on the blog earlier this week that we were going to have our good friend, our co-host emeritus, Kevin Davis, with whom Corey just had his nice little astral dialogue.
Correct.
We were going to have him on this week, but some last-minute stuff came up. Unfortunately, Kevin's not going to be able to make it. We are going to try to get him back on next week for episode 33. We will keep you posted on that, but it'll just be Corey and I for now. So with that said, let's move into our headlines. First up, most notably, obviously, you guys saw, we wrote about it on the blog earlier this week. Monday was the 10th anniversary of the death of late Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell. I put up a bit of a tribute on the blog. Bit of a tribute. It was 1,300.
Yeah, it was words.
There were lots of those.
Yep. Rightfully so.
And this whole week I've been thinking about it because, I look back and I just think of what that means. 10 years. I mean, when this happened, I was a sophomore in high school. I was barely even scratching the surface of metal. I was the most metal kid in my school, but no one else even remotely came close. I mean, it was like I said, I was still, the heavy stuff for me at the time was like Mastodon and Megadeth.
Right.
And obviously I knew Pantera because they were popular at the time.
Sure.
I was a guitar player. To think that was 10 years ago and how much metal we've seen since then, and how much growing we've done as people since then. It's so weird to think that an entire decade's gone by.
It's gone by quickly. It's one of those moments where anybody that's a fan of obviously metal, but really just music in general, everybody knew who Pantera was. Everybody knew who Dimebag was if they had half a brain. And it's just one of those things where people remember where they were, what they were doing, how they reacted to it. It's just something that's going to stick
vividly.
with you, and it's just one of those events, one of those massive events in the music community that was just an unbelievable tragedy. Words can't obviously describe. And the fact of the matter is, the amount of support and the amount of respect paid over the past week or so to Dimebag has just absolutely, I'm not going to say surprised me because that's not the right word, but my level of appreciation for his appreciation is unbelievable.
Well, that's a testament to how well loved he was.
Exactly.
I mean, by people of all backgrounds.
Right.
We've seen death metal guys pay tribute to him. We've seen like Rob Flynn paid tribute to him, from all over the spectrum.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just been this universal outpouring, and deservedly so. I mean, the dude was a legend. And I mean, I'm with you. I talked about this in the post, but I remember to a T. I mean, I didn't even hear about it until the next day because
social media wasn't as much of a thing back then.
Social media was not a thing back then.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I think I might have had a Zanga page. Remember when that
AIM.
was a thing, Zanga?
AIM.
Yeah. No, but I heard about it via printed out internet story the next day, thanks to my dad, and it's just one of the, like I think of. I mean, there are two moments in my life, two like historical moments in my life that I remember vividly. Like not just where I was, what I was doing, but like the time of day I heard about it, the weather, just like it's a vivid like photographic memory of the scene when I found out about this. And this was one of them. The other one was 9/11.
Right.
Which I think is common for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
I've got three.
This folks, I'm not trying to take a turn here. I'm not trying to equate Dimebag's death with 9/11.
No.
But in terms of me remembering vividly, these are the two that I've got for better or for worse. And it's weird to think about. Like what would have happened had Dime lived, had that this gunman not stormed the stage. I don't want to say his name.
Right.
Had the gunman not stormed the stage, would Pantera have reformed? Would
Phil Anselmo Phil was convinced that there would have been new Pantera at some point.
Yeah.
And it does. It makes you wonder. But no, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, like you're not in any way comparing obviously the events of 9/11 to these events. What you're doing is you're speaking to events and memories that just stick with you a certain way.
Just the kind of paralyzing nature of it.
Exactly. And I've got three. I mean, I've got obviously those two, and I've got the Boston Marathon thing. So and those are the kind of events that they hit you, and that's it. It's not going anywhere. Obviously, no two are the same. That's not what there's no like parallels that being pulled between them. But there are certain events that happen, and that's it. It's just like burned a hole in your brain, and it's not going anywhere. And that it fell into that category. It's that simple.
Yeah. So on top of obviously saying rest in peace to Dime, rock in peace, whatever you want to call it.
Take your pick.
Want to thank everyone who I got a couple nice words from people for the tribute. I was nervous about writing this thing. I haven't done any long writing since I don't know, college.
Well, yeah.
My whole life. I'm such a Twitter fiend now. My whole life is in 140 character bursts. So for me to have written 1,300 words, I was a little intimidated by it. But everyone that read it and sent along nice words. Really appreciate that.
Well, and how often do we actually write serious things on this blog? We are very sarcastic. We can be,
half of our posts are quickies, which are just quick. Boop,
no
boop,
thought
boop,
process behind them. Just be like, here's this, I don't care, or here's this, I care, or here's this, I wish I didn't
joke.
care. Yeah, exactly. So, it's a different take on things, but it's necessary, and yeah, it was nicely done. Obviously, we've already discussed that. But yeah, so if you haven't read it yet, people need to do that. before the week's over.
And more importantly, if you haven't listened to any Pantera this week,
Jesus Christ, what the hell's wrong
what
with
you
you?
doing?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. If you had to pick a go-to Pantera song, what would you say? To best sum up Dime.
I don't know. Give me like 30 seconds with that. You can go first if you have one in mind.
I know what I'm picking. I'm thinking right now. The first thing my mind goes to is Cemetery Gates, where Bill and Dime are doing the howling and the whammy bar duet at the end of the song. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
It is. I mean, what I've gone back to a lot is I've gone back to Reinventing the Steel this week. I don't know why that one particularly, but I enjoy it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's But dude, all these songs have been on shuffle all week long. I mean, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken. I don't know. It's Cemetery Gates is tough to beat though. It's a good one.
Anyway, as I said before, obviously, rest in peace, Dime. It's been a strangely quick 10 years. Moving on. Let's talk about the Grammys.
Let's
talk.
Why would we do that?
The Grammys, who released their 2015 nominations this week, and they are quite a pile of shit. Let's not mince any words here. I want to be clear right off the bat that I'm not mad at these per se, because, and I'm sure you're not either, because we are of the same mind on this. Ultimately, the Grammys really aren't worth shit anymore, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The
Grammys, with apologies to Lewis Black on this, the Grammys are to music what KFC is to chicken. There's just no point to them anymore. I mean, certainly not in this day and age where you have infinite little niches and subgenres and fracturing off. There's no point to them whatsoever. No. That being said, it's hard not to look at these and laugh a bit. They so clearly do not know how to handle hard rock and metal that it's just hilarious. To give you some context, going back, the last several years, for a while the Grammys had an award for best hard rock performance and an award for best metal performance, which were often ridiculous,
as would expect.
Displayed a similar lack of knowledge of either scene. Then all of a sudden, I want to say last year, but maybe it was 2 years ago, I can't remember, they combined them into one. So it became Best Hard Rock / Metal Performance, which drew a bunch of criticism for some reason, as if it mattered.
Never did to them anyway.
Right. And then this year they switched it again, and it is now just Best Metal Performance. There is no Best Hard Rock. It's just Best Metal. And the nominees for this year, I could not help but laugh out loud when I read these. In ascending order of ridiculousness are, wait for it, Mastodon's High Road. Not bad. Solid.
It's a song.
Slipknot, The Negative One.
It's kind of a cop-out. All right, go ahead.
And then here we go. Motorhead for Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker, which came out in 2013.
Oops.
A full year plus ago.
Yeah.
And then we get Tenacious D for their cover, a cover song of Ronnie James Dio's The Last in Line from the tribute album This Is Your Life. And then we get another Ronnie James Dio cover song, Anthrax doing Neon Nights from the exact same album. Are we for real here?
Well, first of all, it's the Grammy, so we absolutely are, which is upsetting about the whole thing.
Right.
For one,
I can't with this.
I'd like to go through a song-by-song breakdown of why I hate it, and I'm not really going to do that, because that just wouldn't be fair to anybody.
If any band belongs there, Mastodon does.
Sure. Even Slipknot for being, I guess, a big name to drop an album this year, and it is a cop out of a choice, obviously, but still, at least
we know Slipknot's going to win it because they sold the most.
Right, exactly.
This is the Grammys anymore are just like an award ceremony, like a rewards for big sellers.
Right. And by the way, if you're going to go with a Mastodon track on that album, that's the last one it should be. I understand it was the first single they released.
Chimes at Midnight, dude.
Chimes at Midnight. Or fucking The Motherlode, which drew more attention than any other song on the album.
Seriously.
Give me a break. I don't know. I mean, I want Tenacious D obviously to win a lot of stuff over the course of their careers, but not for a Dio cover. Jesus. And Anthrax,
The fact that we have 2 Dio covers nominated.
Here we are.
From the same album.
Here we are every week. We talk about 4 or 5 albums in full. What's good on it, what's bad on it, and we have the hard time at the end of the year of picking 25. We're going to eventually talk about 25 albums apiece that we thought were great. And these guys, they have 3 original songs, 1 that came out last year, and 2 covers. Really?
And they didn't even pick. They clearly did not pick the best cover on that album,
no.
which is Corey Taylor's "Rainbow in the Dark."
Yeah, that's cool too. I actually do like that.
Satchel from Steel Panther. That is far and away the best cover on that album. And
right.
No, we get Tenacious D and Anthrax.
I would like Anthrax to win nothing ever. So. Just gonna throw that out there.
Anthrax were to win. What a shit show. That'd be the ultimate troll job for the Grammys.
It's hard to pay less than 0% attention to the Grammys, but I'd probably find a way.
Well, it's one thing, last year. I know obviously you're probably weren't into it. I was a big fan of the Daft Punk record last year,
sure.
Random Access Memories, and so I actually did watch last year. And if you disregard the fact that the awards were a crock of shit, it was actually kind of fun from a mainstream music appreciating perspective. But this year, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's going to be the other nominees are Iggy Azalea and Sam Smith, neither of whom I have any interest in, and Ariana Grande, and I'm like, no, fuck all of this. I can't do it. They haven't even announced album of the year yet. I mean, it's guys, we got to drum up anticipation, as if the thing won't draw 25 million viewers regardless.
Right, exactly.
They're like, stay tuned for album of the year announcements. No, I won't.
Nah, I'll pass. There are other things I'd like to do.
It's gonna be shit. They're gonna give it to Taylor Swift and blah 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 blah. What a joke. I'm just I can't with this anymore. I just can't.
Hey, at least we got some new Blind Guardian tonight.
That we did. I am most excited about
had to slide that in there because any Blind Guardian news is good news, generally speaking.
Yes.
And it's a way of ending things on a little bit of a better note than the fucking Grammys.
February 3rd cannot get here soon enough. So anyway,
yep.
That'll do it for our headlines this week. We're gonna keep it to 2. Let's move in. We actually both saw the same concert, albeit in different states,
right?
But different venues. But
right.
We have a concert review. We're going to be talking about the Devin Townsend Animals as Leaders Monuments Tour. You see, it's a co-headlining gig. Devin and Animals are switching slots. Corey got to see Devin close. I got to see Animals as Leaders close.
Yep.
Either way, however you spin it, good time out though.
I will not argue that. I didn't know how I was going to feel about 2 out of the 3 acts. I knew exactly what I was going to feel about Devin Townsend, and he performed exactly the way I would like him to. I'll get into that in more detail in a little bit.
Sure.
Monuments, I know you weren't crazy about them. I will say that for an opening act that didn't play super long, they at least entertained me a little bit. Their music, I really didn't care for all that much. It didn't really do a ton for me, but they were all over the place. They were having fun. They were stage diving, and that was cool. It kept my attention. I can't complain. I mean, usually for an opening act, that's usually when I drink the most and not pay attention. So at least there's that going for it. And Animals as Leaders, I don't know. I'm really hit or miss with these instrumental bands. Conquering Dystopia was something I've always kind of been into a little bit. Animals as Leaders, I just never really, unfortunately, gave the time or day despite the fact they've been talked about all over the place the last couple of years. They entertained. I'm not going to lie. They entertained. And I was watching them, half watching them, half merchandising because Devin show.
Right.
And and I walk back to my spot where all my friends were and everything, and just seeing Tosin and Abasi in front of the light screen just going nuts. I'm like, yep, this is fucking awesome. They were captivating. They really were.
Tosin Abasi is a
freak.
Yep. And the other guy's pretty damn good too. I
they
don't
all
know
are.
His name. I'm sorry.
They all are.
Yeah. They for a trio, 2 guitarists, they have a surprisingly really dense sound. Especially live. I really was digging it. And then there was Devin, who we love Devin.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the funny thing is, like, the set list was exactly what I wanted from this show. It was a nice balance of New Ziltoid. It was a nice balance of some stuff off Sky Blue. It was, some Epic Loud was on there. Lots of cool stuff. We
also got some choice older cuts, too. We got
did.
Regulator. We got Bad Devil. I mean...
Yeah, I was pretty pumped to play Regulator, too. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, he closed with a couple amazing, obviously Grace was thrown there. I think he's going to throw Grace into everything at some point, which is totally fine by me. It was funny because my buddy Phil, he'll go to Devin whenever he gets a chance to, and the last few times he hasn't been able to. And the thing is, Kingdom's been on his set list before, in the not too distant past, and he hadn't seen Devin play Kingdom. And the whole day he's like, he didn't cheat, he didn't go on setlist.com or whatever to figure out what he was playing. He's like, I just want to hear Kingdom. And Devin announces his encore song, and it's like, this is a Physicist and Epic Loud song, and Phil just freaked the fuck out. It was awesome, and he kicked ass too. It was so nicely done.
Yeah.
I thought the set was a little bit short, to be honest, which I guess it really wasn't, considering this is a co-headlining tour, and he did play about the same duration of time as Animals as Leaders, so it's par for the course, but I would have liked another song or two. I don't know. It's Devin.
We need to get Devin a true headlining tour again, like a Devin Townsend as the main act tour.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen one since... I mean, heck, for me, it's been since the first time I saw him because, when we went up in Worcester, it was him co-headlining with Catatonia.
Right.
Which was great, don't get me wrong. But
nothing wrong there.
I want just like I want a 90-minute Devin set. I want, something just unhinged,
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, this was good for what it was. Would I have liked to see a couple more older cuts? Yeah, sure. But I was pleased with the set. He sounded great, but you could tell he was kind of worn out.
I was gonna say he seemed a little tired.
Yeah. And who can blame him?
Nobody.
The dude's been going nonstop this year and in the last 5 years, really.
Right.
I want to circle back to Monuments. I will say, you touched on it. I was not nuts about them,
right?
To say the least. Chris Barretto, the vocalist, was a character, let's say.
Yeah, he was.
He's got this silly little afro going on. He looks and stomps around like a bit of a doofus, but I will say he did manage to get some command over the audience, so I got to give him props. There was a song where he busted out a sax solo that was solid. I don't know the names of the tracks, but this sax song was good. Other than that, I wasn't totally feeling it. I know. Kevin seemed to like him, but not really my thing.
I'm nestled right there in the middle between. I'm nestled right there in the middle between you and Kevin. I didn't hate them, and like I said, I was like half paying attention anyway. But like you said, he had some command over the audience, and myself included. I was paying attention. So
sure.
Credit due there for at least that. So why not? But good day, good night out, good set, good show, fun times.
Absolutely. I've got another one coming up. I'm going to see Yob and Tombs at St. Vitus, which I am very excited for.
That'll be fun.
Yob and Tombs, both on my year-end list. Just saying.
Spoiler.
So this will be fun. I'll have another concert review to talk about next week.
I may as well.
Who are you going to see?
Morn is playing Boston tomorrow night or Friday night tonight.
Aha.
And that might, depending on how...
we still haven't figured out the space-time continuum here.
Hey, Friday night is tonight to the internet world.
There we go.
Depending on how sad I am all day tomorrow, I might go see some doom metal. If I'm in a good mood, I probably won't, but we'll see.
Yeah. There you go. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Time will tell.
Anyway, all of this is to say, Devin Townsend, Animals as Leaders, Monuments, terrific show. Well worth the $30 for the tickets.
No argument.
If they are coming into a town near you, go see them. Definitely. That'll wrap up concert reviews. Let us move into the meat of our podcast this week. Let us go back. We are going to each do 3 more year-enders. As you recall, we did 3 last week. We're doing 3 this week. And then all next week on the blog, we are going to do 3 a day leading into episode 33, which we will reveal our top 4 albums of the year. Is it a little bit of a roundabout way to break down our top 25? Yeah. Yeah, no
Deal
doubt.
with it.
But this is how we're doing it. We're gonna see if we can make it work. That being said, 3 albums apiece this week. Corey, start us off. What do you got for your first one this week?
Oh man, see, I'm talking about 3 albums, and I will say 2 out of the 3 very easily could have, slipped up into those top 4 slots. These are, dare I say it, the TCUs and Baylor of my list. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Sports. I'm gonna do that. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is neither of those 2 bands. I'm gonna because I want to talk about them in later. Talk about them last. But I'm gonna start with the new Enthroned album, Sovereigns, which came out on April 18th. This was one that, honestly, I had no familiarity with this band previously. I know their 2012 release was, very highly praised. So, what the hell? Let's check out what they got now. And honestly, this album is just dark. It is. It's a dark, ominous, intimidating black metal album, and it's awesome because it's very true to black metal. It's also Belgian black metal. Yay, internationality.
Are they Belgian? I thought they were French.
Belgian, actually.
Yeah. No, they're from Brussels. Good catch.
Yay. Okay, so anyway, and this thing, the opening track, which I don't think it's in English, so I'm not going to bother saying it right now. It just builds things up in like a kind of a creepy way, and then the first 2 tracks following that are just absolute ass kickers. Sine Qua Non and Feathers and Flames, just very true black metal. They're awesome, and you kind of get an idea of what this band's all about, what they're going to do, and they don't really let up. I did really take to, and Dan knows this, the next track, which is Lamp of Invisible Lights.
Yes.
It's just so creepy, and they have like those like spoken church lyric choir things in the back that are almost like mocking religion. It's like they're like mocking how they use them, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, the intro to this song is what got me. It reminds me straight up of Tyrants.
Yeah,
of Immortal.
Yeah,
it's oh my god,
it's so good. It's so good, and that song is just all the things I want in that kind of a black metal style. And then of course it gets intense again. Divine Coagulation brings you right back to the roots of the album and right back to its aggressiveness. The leads are relatively tasteful. There's I can't argue with them. The blast beats are obviously there because black metal. And they do a nice job of fading some of like the tremolo picking intros, harmonies in and out, which is kind of a cool little touch. Kind of a, I don't want to say it fell off the radar, but this is one when it came out. I listened to it quite a few times, and I actually ended up buying. And then after I started going back through and listening to what I liked over the course of the year, I'm like, shit, this is some really fucking good black metal. And it is.
Yeah.
It is. And
it is.
It
absolutely is.
It was worth discussing for a little bit.
This was one that I was really bummed. Of course, we last year at Death Fest, we did not get tickets to. I guess were they at Ram's Head or Soundstage? I can't remember.
I believe it was Ram's Head, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
We of course only had Edison lot tickets, so we did not see them,
right.
And I was really, really bummed.
Because this dropped like a month prior.
What's that?
This dropped like a month prior, so it was perfect timing.
Right. And then of course we have amended that mistake for this coming year by getting our 4-day pass. Yeah, I had to drop that again. I'm sorry.
Because it's awesome.
I'm so excited.
I am too.
But yeah, no, this was one of the ones. This and Bolzer, I think, were my 2 biggest regrets for not seeing at Death Fest.
Yeah.
Anyway, beside the point. I'm digressing.
It's a worthy digression.
I like the hell out of this album too. I go back and give it a spin every once in a while.
Yeah.
It was a nice discovery. So.
'Twas indeed. Thank you, sir.
Good choice. Again, the album is Sovereigns. Came out in April. It's on Agonia Records. You know what to do. Check it out on Spotify.
Yep.
I am also going to talk about some black metal right out the gate. I am going to talk about Alrune and their album, The Process of Self-Immolation. Now, Alrune's a great young band out of Nashville, which really, has had a really burgeoning metal scene lately.
Yeah.
We've got bands like Loss. Oubliette was another band we liked this year, or at least I liked this year. They're from nearby Murfreesboro, Tennessee. There is some good stuff going on down that way, I gotta say. It's impressive how fully realized this album is for a young band. Now, the Process of Self-Immolation It's 5 songs, just under 40 minutes on this thing, including like a minute and a half intro. And it's very much black metal, but they bring in all these different elements that I really love. They do a fantastic job incorporating melody into even their harshest passages. You get a really clear sense of this on Exordium, which is the first like full length track. The calmer moments that you see, I'm thinking of like the middle of Kissed by the Red. They give you these just fantastic changes of pace. Simulacra is another one. It starts off kind of slow and ominous, and then just whips you up into a maelstrom of just searing, aggressive black metal. It's tremendous. The title track is another highlight. The bridge and the denouement are just devastating. There are these almost machine gun like pulses in the closing section that are just heavy as all hell. And then it just ends kind of abruptly. It's really, they do a nice little fake out there. Process of self-immolation. It's you're going to look at it and see 5 songs, 38 minutes, a couple of which are like 8 or 9 minutes long. It might throw you off, but this is a tremendous listen. It goes by really, really seamlessly. I'm thrilled for what the future holds for these guys.
Yeah.
It's solid listen.
It is. I mean, that's one I remember vividly as well, and I'll definitely be going back to. Not to spoil too much, but I won't be talking about it unfortunately in any of these episodes. But it's gonna come up before the end of the year for sure with me. So definitely a good listen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Again, the band is Alrune. The Process of Self-Immolation is the album. It's out on Profound Lore. It is also on Spotify. You know what to do. Alrighty, what do you got next? Which of the bubble teams are we going to get to now?
Well, we're not going to be deviating from black metal at any point for me this week because it's the fucking best.
You might not be.
I said, yeah, okay. Fair. Continuing on the black metal trend, I will say that if 5 minutes or 5 songs at 38 minutes threw you off a little bit, you are in for something when I talk about 5 songs at 56 minutes. I am
You're going to talk about Sayore.
I'm going to talk about Sayore. The album is Aura, came out June 20th of this year, obviously. Sticking true to black metal-ish. This is one of those oh-so-impressive one-piece projects. See Panopticon. But this time we're going to Scotland. So we've got 3 different black metal bands in 3 different areas of the world, and to me, that is just happiness. So anyway, Sayore. Definitely moves black metal in a different direction than Enthroned did. Ridiculously so.
Well, Enthroned is very straightforward, kind of traditional black metal.
Right.
And Sayore is most certainly not.
No, this is, I mean, you can say folky if you want, but we're talking about, they got like wind instruments and stuff, and it's awesome. Like I said, 5 songs, 56 minutes, 4 of them over 10 minutes, I think 3 of them over 12 minutes. So there's some effort that goes into listening to this thing to an extent. But the thing is, these songs, there's so much going on, but it's all going on so seamlessly that it just flows nicely. It's a really nice moving album, despite the fact that it does take like a keen ear to actually listen through it. They have this certain atmosphere to them that's just really, really cool. The production's a little bit raw, which works. I mean, dude, there are sections of this stuff where you could probably listen to this over like Lord of the Rings or something. It would probably fit that. I mean, it's insane. I like the way I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name right now, which I apologize for. We'll call him Sayore because again, one piece project. His crazy harsh vocals are almost like layered within the instrumental work. It's not supposed to like overwhelm the music. It's not supposed to be the focus point when he brings them in. It's just subtly nestled right in there. Really just adding another layer to it, just becoming a part of the overall feel of the album, which is I really, really like. I mean, I think of, my favorite track on the album I think of is The Awakening or Pillars of the Earth, which are just impressive pieces of music. I don't know where freaking Sayore came from. I don't really care where they came from. This album's awesome. I remember when I first listened to it back in June, I was like, 3 times through. 4 times through. More times through. So yeah, They're
Yeah.
they came close. They came close to top of that top 4, but a lot of black metal already up there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's a tremendous album. It's one of those where I really have trouble picking favorites because, God damn it, they're all good.
They are. They really are.
I love the title track. I love. I'm with you. I love The Awakening. I love Pillars of the Earth. It's fantastic. Andy Marshall is the guy's name.
That's it.
But yeah, no, it's as Sayar, he is. He's really, really given us something terrific. I don't know if you've listened. Have you listened to their to his, I suppose, previous album, Roots?
I've been meaning to actually, again, because this is the first time this band has ever even broken into my spectrum. I have not actually gone back to Roots yet. A couple tracks came up on Spotify for me today that I listened through that were, equally as intriguing to me. I didn't really give it too much of a spin, but I'll go back to it. I mean, it caught my attention.
Well, if 5 songs in 56 minutes isn't enough for you, this one is going to be this one is 4 in 50.
Yeah,
so.
You know what? I'm actually looking at it now.
Get ready.
It's 4 in 50, and one of the songs is 3 minutes, which basically tells you that 3 songs make up 48 minutes of the album.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Andy, let's just say Andy doesn't like to rein himself in, and nor should he, because the not reining himself in
is working
out pretty well.
Yeah, it is.
So it's Sayar. The album is Aura. Check it out. It's on Spotify. It is a fantastic sophomore release. I am going to talk about Yob now. I'm really high on these guys. I was not familiar with them before this year. Again, because honestly, I did not listen to as much metal. I mean, I listened to a good bit.
Yeah.
But the amount of metal we listened to this year for this podcast is just. It's been awesome. I found out about so many more awesome bands.
I just talked about a One Piece project from Scotland. Yeah, it's been pretty damn cool.
Yeah, how would we ever have encountered that if not for this podcast?
Exactly.
There we go. I will admit my noobishness. I had not heard of Yob before this year, but then Clearing the Path to Ascend came out. And this was just tremendous. I mean, this has been the crossover darling so far. Rolling Stone threw it, to give you an idea, Rolling Stone threw it not just in its top 20 for metal, but also its top 50 albums of the year overall.
Yeah.
It was the token metal album, just like they had with Death Heaven last year. This is 4 songs and an hour of the bleakest, dreariest doom metal you'll hear. It legitimately feels like the entire weight of the world is just melting down on you from the sky, which is kind of funny because the title has the word ascend in it. It feels like we're doing the opposite of that.
Oh no, it feels like,
but it's awesome.
It feels like everything else is doing the opposite of that, and you're not doing anything.
Yeah, yeah. This is just a trudging, just lumbering masterpiece. The vocals, in particular, Mike Scheidt, or Sheet. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Again, noob.
Yep.
But I think of the other really big transcendent doom record of the year. I think of Pallbearer.
Yeah.
And I listened to the vocals on that, and Brett's vocals they're haunting, but in an alluring kind of way. I listened to this, and Mike's vocals are haunting in a holy fuck, I'm gonna have nightmares kind of way. It is just it's corrosive, and it's really it's just he's so distinct.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, it's memorable it's the same kind of memorable, but just for different reasons, different timbres in his voice and everything. It's hard to pick a favorite track here because there's only 4 and they all kick ass. Nothing to Win and Spectre are particularly fantastic, but like I said, this thing from top to bottom, all 4 songs, all hour of it, is a beast. Set some time aside in your schedule, get lost in it. It is one ridiculous trip. Yob, Clearing the Path to Ascend. Do it.
Yep.
Do it.
I would actually encourage that. I haven't, I've spun this like 2 or 3 times this year, and I just don't think it's been enough yet. It's, I feel weird. I feel weird. Really well, that's not fair. I can't feel that weird because I love the shit out of Sunbather. And certain publications felt strongly about that album too. So I guess I can't feel that weird about liking this. But I do, and it's going to require a few revisits because, frankly, I haven't given enough time yet. I really haven't.
Remember when we had earlier in the year, it's obviously a completely different style of music, but remember when we had Lord Mantis earlier in the year, and I likened listening to Death Mask to kind of consciously going insane?
Yeah.
I get that kind of same vibe from Clearing the Path to Ascend. Like, it really fucks with your head.
Yep. Yeah.
In the best kind of way. I mean, it's a fantastic listen. That's all I'm going to say on it.
I've actually... Well, you can spend an hour talking about it. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but I'll just keep recycling the same hyperbole, and I don't want to do that, and the listeners don't want to do that. So,
the more often you say it, the more it means. Yeah, I actually went back to Lord Mantis recently.
Did I mention it's awesome?
I don't think so. I think I don't know. Fuck it. I actually went back to Lord Mantis recently. Ever since they released that not remotely safe for work video, I'm like, oh, I remember this band, and I still like them.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Since you mentioned that, yeah.
They definitely they fell a bit on my list, but still very, very solid.
Yeah, they came out. They came out very early into this routine, so it was tough. There wasn't a ton of competition then.
It's tough. It's like when you release an awards baity movie in like February. It's like by the time the Oscar nominations come around, you really gotta work for it.
Some of those top four on my list came out far earlier in the year. We'll see what happens.
Yes, yeah.
Anywho, actually,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think you have a couple as well. So, anywho, I've got one more to talk about, and that's all great. We're talking about Doom and Yob and all that stuff. Let's go back to black metal. Sort of.
Is black metal really the right word for Agalloch?
No,
though?
it's not. It's not. I mean, it's, I guess, the closest thing, maybe? I don't know. It's not, though. I don't know what else to really call them, but it's Agalloch. They have, their own subgenre at this point. And that's frankly one of the things I love about this band. They have their sound, and you know what feels like an Agalloch song. You know what feels like an Agalloch album, but every album has its own distinctions about it. I wouldn't compare Pale Folklore to Ashes of the Grain to The Mantle to Marrow of the Spirit. I really wouldn't. They are all their own entities, yet they all feel like Agalloch. That did not change with The Serpent and the Spear, which came out May 13th. They did some new stuff on it. It builds up so well with the birth and death of the Pillars of Creation, or that long-ass title that they have. And it's so good. It's so good. And obviously, I feel like this album as a whole has a little bit more of a doomy feel. Like Marrow of the Spirit, I felt like, especially into the Painted Grey, they went back to some more traditional, like, black metal stylings and feels to it. This was more of a doomy take on, that style. And it's awesome. I think of, like, Dark Matter Gods. Celestial Effigy was obviously the single that came out of it, which is just easily one of my top songs of the year, without a doubt. And the way they worked in muskox in between these songs, it was like
Nathaniel Larachette, he did acoustic instrumental interludes,
and you needed it though. It was like, here, recover for a minute or two, and it was perfect. And then obviously, I know you're super high on it, but
Plateau of
the Ages, which that song,
the 12-minute instrumental, that's the best song on the album.
The 12-minute epic. That is an instrumental, but it doesn't really listen like one. Like, you can get your foot tap into it. They do a lot of things. The song ebbs and flows so nicely. The transitions are so smooth. I don't know where this album is going to end up on, my Agalloch collection, how high up. But it's right up there, and it's right up there for the year. This band, they've got their thing. They're
special to you.
They're special to a lot of people, to be fair. They've found a way to kind of transcend genres, and they're still doing that. And Agalloch's doing some good stuff. They really are.
I'm with you 100%. This. I don't know if I want to call it my favorite album of theirs, because I don't know if I can pick a favorite of theirs. But it was tauter than Marrow of the Spirit.
I agree.
It was a little. It wasn't as polished as Ashes Against the Grain. It's just got
which is good.
All the good little changes that Agalloch has made over the years. This kind of incorporated all of them into the mix. You mentioned I love Plateau of the Ages. I love Astral Dialogue, Celestial Effigy. I mean, it's a tremendous album from start to finish. and we also met them. So that was neat.
Yep, that was neat.
Which has nothing to do with the quality of the album, but I had to drop that because
Helps a little bit.
Humble brag.
Yeah. Humble brag.
I will be writing about this next week.
Yeah.
It's not my top 4, but most certainly my top 10 of the year. Great listen. Great listen. I'm firmly of the mind that this band really can do no wrong.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point. It's funny. I know you mentioned how you can't really necessarily pick a best Agalloch album. I think I got to go back to The Mantle, to be honest with you. I don't know. Just the feel of that album is just so ridiculous. But, all the things they did well there that maybe I didn't think they did so well in Marrow, or they fine-tuned things too much on Ashes of the Grain, they went right back to that same kind of that thing, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's just like all the great parts of old Agalloch albums rolled into one. Yeah. So A+, woo. Well, I guess technically A-. A+ is for next week. So there's that.
There you go.
But
there you go.
Good stuff.
Definitely. The Serpent and the Sphere. You know what to do. Spotify it if you haven't already.
Right.
You probably have.
You have.
My final album for the week, I'm going to talk about Godflesh. I have to. A World Lit Only by Fire. It's their first album in 13 years. I had to get my Token Comeback album on here because spoiler alert, At the Gates is not in my top 25.
Well, really?
I said it.
I don't know if they are yet.
They are not.
I don't know if they are yet for me. We'll see.
They are not. 13 years after their previous album, Hymns. Man, they not only picked up where they left off, but they came back in full force. I mean, this is some of their best stuff since Street Cleaner. It's we've got Justin roaring it up like a caged animal. We've got GC's bass just thumping around like nobody's business. It's really something. They're so tight with each other. And this album is just like full of highlights. New Dark Ages, Shut Me Down. I mean, the whole album. Tremendous listen. I'm going to stop saying tremendous. I've said that a lot this episode. But you gotta realize, like, this was some kind of year for Godflesh. I mean, 13 years after their last studio effort, they not only put out this tremendous album. God damn it!
That stays.
They not only put out A World Lit Only by Fire. I need to get like the dog whisperer in and like have him tst me whenever I say tremendous.
Yeah, I was gonna start keeping a thesaurus up next to whenever I'm talking about it, because the fact of the matter is, let's be real, a lot of these albums we're gonna be talking about are at this point pretty fucking tremendous. So
you said it, not me.
Yeah, well, I'm using your word, so
yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is at this point.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, though, this was some kind of year for Godflesh, because you have to remember, 13 years after their last studio effort, they not only put out this album, but also a pretty goddamn good EP earlier in the year, Decline and Fall.
Yeah, they did.
It's a hell of a way to come back to life, to come roaring back to life. This, for me, was the comeback of the year. At the Gates, sorry, try again next time. Yeah. Godflesh, A World Lit Only by Fire. Check it out. It's on Spotify. You know what to do.
I've gotten so many mixed reactions to that At the Gates album. It's unbelievable. I've had people come up to me saying how amazing it is. I've had people come up to me and saying they just don't give a shit, which I'm more of that persuasion. But it's gotten some fascinating reviews. It really has. It's all over the goddamn place.
I haven't come across anyone that really didn't like it,
right.
But there are clearly some people that liked it more than others.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
I had a few people tell me that was better than Carcass's comeback, and I wanted to punch them in the face.
No. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Exactly.
Anyone that says that, I stop listening to them. I stopped taking them seriously.
That's why I stopped. That's why I'm not dropping any names right now. Judging my friends.
Yeah, just a tad. Well, anyway, that'll do it for our year-ender recap. Again, we are going to have 4 on the podcast next week, but check the blog, hornsupmetalshow.com. All next week, we are going to be replacing our daily content. No Just the Tip, no retrospectives. We are strictly going to be in recap mode.
Yep.
3 a day from each of us, so stay tuned. You'll hear a lot more of our favorites next week.
Mm-hmm.
For now, let's move into our final segment of the night. Let's do horns up and horns down. Corey, what do you got for horns up this week?
Well, it's the season for partying and having fun and all that nonsense. And last night was our annual... Damn nonsense. Oh, man, I'm going to go play around with that soundboard later. Nick Manning, one of a kind. He is not my horns up, although he's probably a lot of people's.
He's got a lot of people's horns up.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Jeez.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Just a little bit?
I don't like it that much, but it's pretty awesome.
Innuendo.
We're good at that here.
Just a bit.
We do those every so often. Anyway, so last night was our annual Portsmouth Brewery holiday party, which, the Portsmouth Brewery allows certain memberships, really by allows, I mean sells memberships to people that, are alcoholics, mostly.
That was blunt.
Not really. Just people that are there more than, average. Such as myself. And every year, in mid-December, there's one day, where the restaurant is closed to non-members, and it's free beer and free food all day and night.
Well, shit, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. The membership, I won't give away any prices or anything like that. That's everybody. I don't want more people jumping on board. I don't care, actually. Nobody cares.
Are there really that many people in Portsmouth, New Hampshire who listen to our podcast?
I'm sure at least one of my roommates listens to it through the walls because he doesn't have a choice. So,
there you go. I don't know if there are that many. I'm not trying to bash Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I don't know if there are that many people, period, that listen to our podcast. So by extension, by the transitive property, I have to assume that there are not that many people in Portsmouth that listen to it.
By the transitive property, the biggest city in the world probably has about 6 people that listen to it. So I mean, it's all good. No, but the bottom line is the price of admission for this membership is easily covered by this one day at the Portsmouth Brewery. Easily. I mean, a couple meals, a lot of beer. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. I always meet a lot of cool people, including last night. It was a late night, unfortunately, because beforehand, and this is just the week of holiday parties for me. The night before, or I should say, not the night before, the same night, the hours before, I was at X company's holiday party, my own, but I don't use names. And that was at another bar restaurant in Portsmouth that they actually rented out for the evening. Company provided drink tickets. Just a good time. I was there for about 4 hours. I expected to be there for like an hour. I just was having a ton of fun. And from there, ran home, got out of my shirt and tie because I wear those things, and bolted to the Portsmouth Brewery for theirs. Another 4 hours there. Next thing you know, it's midnight. I get home. I dick around on Facebook for 20 minutes, and I pass out, and the alarm goes off in 4 hours because I need to be in Boston at 5:30 in the morning. So it was a long evening, and it's been a really long day, but it was a ton of fun. And I'm not sure if you've had this yet. The Dogfish Head 61 Minute. Does that ring a bell at all?
I have not.
So Dogfish Head has their 60, 90, and 120-minute beers, which are IPAs all brewed for a certain period of time. Obviously, the longer you brew it, or the longer the boil runs, the things happen to the beer. I'll put it that way. Because I don't want to get into that right now. But basically, the 60, 90, and 120-minute beers, they increase in ABVs as you move along. A 61-minute is an IPA that is normally relatively, hopped up bitter, but they actually brew it on Syrah grapes. So it's got this super delicious, like mellow, not fruity necessarily, but like dark, sweetness to it to really balance out the hops, and it's a fantastic beer. I had a bunch of those, and it got weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's a good beer. It was a fun night, back-to-back holiday parties. Paid for it today a little bit, but, I rallied. That's what it's all about, and so on and so forth. So I gotta raise my beer to last night's adventures. Portsmouth Brewery holiday party.
Raise your, what are you drinking there? What is that?
This is the Moat Mountain Helles. It's a New Hampshire beer, brewed in North Conway. Okay. They do cans because, we're environmentalists here, apparently. Super small-scale brewery, but it's kind of like... They do like 4 or 5 different beers. They're all fantastic. It's kind of like the Portsmouth Brewery of the mountains here, which basically just means less pretentious. And they do some really good stuff. And you can get their beers, in their tall boys at some of like the smaller craft beer stores. And they do some really, really good stuff. And that is what I'm housing right now. They do a lot of like German styles too, which is pretty cool. Like an Oktoberfest. Helles is a traditional, German lager. Yeah, Mountain Brewery. That's also a good thing.
Good stuff.
That's also a good thing.
Stuff. Well, my horn's up. I was going to talk about one thing, but then I changed my mind last minute. I am going to talk about, because the penultimate episode just aired today, was released today. I'm going to talk about a podcast I've been head over heels for, and me and a good like 2/3 of the country. I'm going to talk about Serial. Have you heard about or listened to Serial at all?
Not even at all. No, I haven't. Not yet.
So Serial, I'm talking about Serial, not the kind you eat at breakfast.
I was going to say not the kind that Kevin's afraid of.
Not the kind that would scare our co-host emeritus to death.
Love you.
Serial is it's a new podcast from I think produced in part by Ira Glass from This American Life. And it's been 11 episodes, 10 episodes maybe so far.
Okay.
A 10-12 episode arc looking back at a murder case that was solved in somewhat contentious, dubious circumstances. It centers around a Baltimore man who, as a high school senior in 1999, I believe, was accused of killing his ex-girlfriend.
Jeez.
Ended up in prison, life in prison, but as Serial has shown so far, there were a number of proceedings that were not, just did not follow standard legal procedure. His lawyer was a bit erratic. There were some questions that were just never touched on in the initial trial. And so the producer, Sarah Koenig, is going back and has been investigating, like re-investigating this, trying to fill in any cracks where the original investigation and court work just had gaps, I guess. It's been fascinating so far. Her storytelling style is it's really compelling. It's produced by the team that does This American Life, but it's so much better and more compelling than This American Life, I found. This American Life, I find, can be so hit or miss. And they're all hour-long episodes, and I can't really get into it half the time. Serial, they're short. They're really, really engaging stories. 45 minutes at most episodes. It's just been fantastic. The final episode of season 1 ends. It airs, I guess, next Thursday, December 18th. So I don't know what we're gonna do. They are making a season 2. I guess they're gonna find another questionable murder conviction and go from there. But
enough of them.
If you haven't listened to it, I highly, highly recommend it. It will go really quickly. I joined 7 weeks in, and I listened to the first 7 episodes in 2 days.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Highly addictive.
All right.
Really, really recommend it. It's called Serial. Check it out. That's my horns up for the week.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I've had fun with it. And I gotta show some love for the medium,
Yeah.
The medium that has done us so well over the last almost 8 months.
Yeah, it's an honorary.
Can you believe that? Almost 8 months.
Yeah, I know. And a quick tip of the hat to our listeners and our viewers, because it's been a good 8 months. It's been a lot of fun, and we crossed a threshold recently that we're proud of. So
we did. We hit 4,000 blog views, page views. So thank you all for that. Thank you for coming. We
were pretty psyched up that night. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Just this week, in fact.
Yep.
So thank you for listening to the blog, or listening to the blog. Yeah. Thank you for listening to the blog, for reading the blog, listening to the podcast, sharing it with your friends. We really, really appreciate it, and we hope it's been as fun for you as it has been for us.
Yay! Happy thoughts. Let's move on to sad thoughts now.
Yeah, digression over. Let's get into Horns Down. What's been getting on your nerves this week?
Well, I was really hoping our co-host Emeritus would be here because I really wanted to talk about his subject matter, but I'll save that for when he's around.
Yeah.
Because I have equal concerns there, and it's been occupying a lot of my time. I will stop teasing everybody with the subject matter. I'm going to instead talk about something that I like to shit on pretty much every single year in a lot of detail. I'm going to take this opportunity to shit on, once again, New England Metal and Hardcore Festival, somehow 17. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Somehow 17.
Yeah, somehow it's.
You know, I gotta say though, I gotta cut in.
Go for it.
I did not find the lineup this year as offensive as it's been in years past.
Okay, so
Sunday sucks.
Well, Sunday
Motionless in White is your fucking headliner on Sunday. No, fuck that.
And that was announced today. I think it was announced today.
But here, Friday you've got BT Bam.
Sure.
Saturday you've got Testament, Exodus, Nails, Nuclear Assault. Like, that's a solid bill right there.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't know. It's mostly just a personal thing at this point. I see it's almost like a gut reaction to whenever, like, oh, Metal and Hardcore Festival lamping out. I'm like, all right, I already hate it. I mean, and part of it is past exposure, having to sit through a lot of bullshit last year to see Behemoth, which, by the way, that date that Motionless in White is headlining, that's the date that's considered more of like the hardcore date. That's the, or like deathcore, whatever they usually slot in there. That's the date that Behemoth headlined. Shitcore. Yeah, that's the date that Behemoth headlined. How fucked up is that? That makes no sense. Yeah, so that was fucking weird. Stupid. No, I mean, these are in all fairness, these are big names. Testament, Exodus, like I said, Nails. They're just bands I don't give a shit about. Unfortunately, I don't. I mean, I follow them. They've done some stuff that I think are cool, but I generally just, they're not bands I listen to that frequently, or probably at this point will. I mean, I know Nuclear Assault's playing their last New England appearance, so that's not too bad. I mean, yeah, BT Bam I've seen before a couple times. I saw them with Deaf Heaven, which was actually one of the better shows I've seen this year. No lie there. But that's because, sorry BT Bam, Deaf Heaven. But like the other bands that day, I don't care, aren't good. Overcast, I know they have their following. No thanks. Black Mask, not good. I mean, yes, Motionless in White, but like, what the hell is this? For Today, the Color Morale? No, I'm sorry. That's garbage. That is absolute garbage. Stop being proud of this announcement. If anything, announce Saturday and just leave it alone, because that is attention grabbing. The rest of it is just, I'm sorry. I've got one band out of the remaining 7 that I have seen and not hated, and that's BT Bam.
Fair enough.
And the thing,
fair enough.
And and these are the bigger bands too. These are the biggest announcements they're going to make. Everything else is going to be like local shitcore, just nonsense. But people eat that shit up there. They do. They really do. I mean, it's got a huge following in Worcester, which I will never understand. I don't know.
Motionless in White is the fucking worst, by the way. Can we just talk about that for a
worst.
second?
They're the worst.
We've got this like little Marilyn Manson wannabe fronting the band. Like, what is this? How do you little scene kids like this?
They do, though. They eat it up. Like, it's a huge deal to them. And I feel like they accidentally stumbled upon a show I was at once. It was probably a festival. I think, nope. Was it? I think maybe it was them. I think it was, Rockstar Mayhem summer of 2013, which I actually had a good time at. But they were there. Actually, I go back to that. And there was actually some good bands there. Like Machine Head was there. Children of Bodom was there. Mastodon, Amon Amarth. There was some cool shit. There really was. But these idiots were there. I remember seeing them on stage and people were going nuts. I'm like, this isn't good. This is just scene kids being fucking stupid. I mean, why does this shit have popularity? I don't understand. I say that it's, in all fairness, I should be more familiar before I say such things, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I like my ears not bleeding. It's the way they should be. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess a Saturday date for New England Metal Fest or whatever isn't too bad. Testament's a big name, and I got to give them credit for at least bringing them on, because I can't remember who the big name was last year, but I don't think Testament and Exodus I think Testament and Exodus are probably superior to the names from last year. And this is me coming from, being the freaking biggest behemoth fan on the face of the planet. So I gotta give credit for that. But I'm sorry, like, they made a huge deal about announcing Motionless in White as being the headline for Sunday, and I just started laughing. And it's, unfortunately, I will not be attending this year. I say unfortunately. Fortunately, I will not be attending next year because I will
Motionless in White. I just looked up on Wikipedia, by the way. Sorry to cut in.
Go for it.
I just looked them up on Wikipedia. They're from Scranton. I am now even more ashamed of them. Why do they have to be from Pennsylvania? That's my home state. Don't tarnish my home state any more than it already tarnishes itself, for God's sake.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Look at this. Look at this shit. This dude looks like...
Guys, if you want a good time, just, like, Google or Wikipedia Motionless in White and just judge the fuck out of them, because that's pretty much what Dan's doing right now.
This dude, Chris Motion... yeah, by the way, he calls himself Chris Motionless. Fuck you, guy.
Fuck you, guy. You're now just Guy to me.
Yeah. He looks like some sort of, like, Tim Burton, like, wet dream. It's... I'm gonna stop talking about it. The listeners don't want to hear me bitch about Motionless in White. But,
So in to wrap things up, to summarize here, My Horns Down has gone from New England Metal and Hardcore Festival to Motionless in White, which is totally justified.
it's even more of a horns down, I think.
It is. It went from like a horns, I guess, kind of like diagonal in a little bit of a downward direction to just Motionless in White just being the pit of our existence.
Motionless in White, the upside of Downs.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys. So New England Metal and Hardcore Fest. Don't go to it. And that's a wrap for me on Horns Down. Fucking.
Well, funny enough, my Horns Down is going to be comparatively a little bit tamer. A lot tamer, in fact. I'm going to complain. It's just a little... It's not straight up anger. It's not anything that I get really animated about. It's just a little something I feel like kind of bitching about a bit.
Yeah, sure. That's what it's for.
So... I talked about this in a recent episode, going back somewhere in the 20s, I believe, how I had switched over from Verizon to T-Mobile, gotten myself an iPhone. So far, so good. Love the iPhone. Love T-Mobile. I've gotten really good coverage here in the city, network coverage. It's great. I enjoy it. T-Mobile is also a hell of a lot less of a ripoff than Verizon.
Yep.
But when I went to get my iPhone... I had to go. This was still like peak demand for the iPhone 6. I had to go with they had one left in the store. I had no choice in the matter. And so I had to get a 16 gigabyte iPhone, which was fine. I've made do. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. My old phone was 16 gigs. And then I get a 2 gigabyte software update. And then I download all my apps, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, 16 gigabytes. Why do they even make phones with 16 gigabytes of storage anymore? That is laughably
It's worthless.
Small.
It's worthless. It is.
Spotify and Facebook alone are a gig each.
Yeah.
It's obscene. I'm at the point where I think probably after Christmas I'm going to get myself an iPod Touch because they make those in 64 gigabyte models, and I'll just end up using that for my apps and stuff. It's funny you mention that. I'm doing the same. I think I'm going to spend some gift cardage in that direction after the holiday season. Same idea. I'm going to be getting a new phone in January. I don't anticipate getting a phone any larger than the phone I have now, which I have a 16 gigabyte iPhone as it were. And I don't know. I like the idea of just like some of those apps, and especially all my music, just being a little separate. I'll keep Spotify and all that crap on my phone because that's just handy. But I don't know. I like the idea of, I miss having an iPod. I'll put it that way. Unfortunately, the Classic's no longer available, which is a pile of stupid. Yeah. Well, did you hear they're selling for like $1,000 a pop on eBay now?
I wish I was more surprised by that. Well, the fact is,
I have one. I might, when I get my Touch, I might be like, hey, eBay, what's up?
Well, yeah, seriously. I mean, the thing is, too, and the one gripe, it wasn't even a gripe, it was just the nature of the product. The one thing, I went through 2 or 3 iPod Classics since the start of high school. One would last me probably about 2 or 3 years, and then it would kick the bucket. The difference
Planned
between the
obsolescence. Yep.
What's that?
Planned obsolescence.
Right, exactly. That and the fact of the matter is, they were hard drive players. Hard drives wear down eventually. There's a spinning disc. It's not going to spin forever. The iPod Touch, that's flash memory. You take care of it, it's going to last you a fuck long longer. Ton longer. So that's why it's almost for me probably a worthwhile investment, because obviously what I'd pay now is pretty much what I paid for an iPod Classic back when they first came out, $200-300. So the hell, I've got.
Yeah.
I don't have 64 gigs of music. I have close to it, but it's better than trying to cram as much as I want of 10 of space.
Well, right, and if you had asked me this, if I had been in this position 2-3 years ago, this wouldn't have been a feasible option for me, because my primary listening device was my iPod, my Classic.
Yep.
I have like 100-something gigs worth of music on it, and they at the time did not make a big enough iPhone for all that music. Now most of my shit's on Spotify. I download it as I want to listen to it. I listen to it offline, whatever. Listen to it,
which
on
is
the
pretty
subway.
cool.
Yeah, and it's little by little.
Yep.
I'm not using. Spotify has gigs on gigs on gigs worth of music, but I'm not listening to it all. I don't need to store it all at the same time.
Right.
So yeah, an iPod Touch becomes a much more reasonable alternative for me. I was thinking about, because I have T-Mobile. I have what they call their Jump program, which is like basically you put zero money down on the phone when you buy it, and instead you pay it off gradually as part of your bill each month. Like
nice.
They tack on, it's like $27 a month to pay off your phone each month, which is great.
That's pretty cool.
And after a year, they give you the option to pay off the balance and be like, just get whatever next version of your phone you want, or next version of any phone you want. So I was thinking about doing that, maybe getting, whenever they release the iPhone 6S or 7 or whatever the hell the next one will be.
Who cares?
Maybe getting a 64 gigabyte in that.
Yeah.
Just jumping. But, if I can get an iPod Touch, which has iOS 8, which has all the apps I need, I might just do that.
Yeah.
Turn my iPhone into a phone.
Dare.
And little else.
How dare I? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm of like mind. It's funny, I bounce between Spotify, and I still, as we've discussed many times on this podcast, I will still go out and buy records of the bands I really care, and that songs that really, really, albums that really grab me that we listen to.
Sure.
Not everything, but the ones that I give a shit about, I'll grab. It's funny how at this point though, Spotify has become my horns up library. And then iTunes has been like anything that I would like to move from there to there, to my personal device. It's interesting. It keeps me a little bit more organized, because shit just gets so fucking lost in the shuffle sometimes. That's why I had to go back to several albums that ended up being top 10 listens, because we've just listened to so much music. It's better this way.
I just hit 150 today.
It's crazy.
150 albums for the year, and I still have like 30 something more I need to get through. This is going to be ridiculous.
You got like 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks.
Yeah. I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Pennsylvania in a couple of weeks. I'm going to have a lot of time to listen to music and not do much else. So
I'll
catch up.
I'm taking a day on Monday, and you can bet your ass there's going to be a whole lot of writing and listening going on for the majority of it. So
yep.
It's fun. It's a fun time of year.
It is. For as much as I tweeted this yesterday, as much as I bang the, opinions don't matter, opinions are like assholes drum, I always have fun in year-end list season.
The thing about year-end list season, I was thinking about this today, is obviously music is in a lot of ways obviously subjective. People have different styles they prefer. Some genres of metal I could care less about. There's some I outright hate, as we both can attest to, and there's obviously the ones I'm, are apt to enjoy, the black metals of the world, and so on and so forth. And for me, everybody's gonna have their own top 10 list, and I just think it's a great opportunity to figure out what the hell else is good out there. Yeah. And it's that simple. My top 10 won't be your top 10, won't be some other guy's top 10, won't be some other guy's top 10. But shit, if they say, hey, check this out, I'm probably going to.
I'll take note.
So.
Sometimes you come across albums that you maybe weren't expecting to like, and then other times you get albums that you were expecting to like that end up kind of sucking.
At the gates.
Well,
it didn't suck. It didn't suck, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I don't think, and I don't want to say this sucks, but I think of everyone's been talking about Gridlink and their now final album.
Yes.
Longina. I tried it. It's on year-end list after year-end list.
It is.
Like everyone's got it. I tried it. I gave it a shot. I'm not a grindcore guy. I am not a grindcore guy, and this did not change.
I'm not either.
But it was something new to try. Why not? I enjoy, because like I said, we listen to a lot of shit, but there's always more shit out there that we haven't listened to, and this is the time of year to find that stuff.
Hey, a lot of stuff we listen to, we are bound by the boundaries of Spotify, and whatever they happen to include or not include. So there's other stuff out there, especially that I didn't listen to. Spotify, you'll get better. Like not putting Panopticon up way too late in the game.
Spotify, fix your shit.
Fix your shit.
Fix your damn shit.
By the way, you're awesome.
Anyway, holy shit, I'm looking at it right now. We're almost at an hour and 20.
Whoops. There we go again.
Let's wrap this up. That'll be the podcast for the week, folks.
Bye.
Not just reminder, as always, check out the blog, hornsupmetalshow.com for all of our daily content, which next week only our end-of-year lists. 3 a day from each of us. Going to be recapping leading up to episode 33 where Corey and I will each do our top 4 for the year. Check it out. You won't want to miss it. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We are facebook.com/hornsuppodcast, Twitter @hornsuppodcast. Get at us on iTunes. Subscribe on Stitcher, Podbean, you name it. We post all the episodes on YouTube. You know where to find us. Subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. We certainly appreciate it. And yeah, this has been episode 32. Thank you, as always, for stopping by. And remember, live,
love,
plow,
horns up.
We'll see you next week.